by last year, and apparently I'd won a giveaway for a free coaching session up to $200. So I was like, all right, I'm using this on Overwatch.
Oh, yeah. Okay, interesting, interesting. Yeah, they do have those giveaways from time to time, so that's
Yeah,
definitely
and I just did not know. Thankfully, the code still worked. They gave it to me in like September of last year.
yeah. Their support is really good. I think any code they give, it works just whenever if it's the giveaway, this sort of stuff. I think well, you can apply it
Awesome.
whenever, so it's all good. All right,
Yeah.
let's see your long-term goals. You mentioned that you want to play GM level, less about hitting the statistical rank, but more about being able to play competently against people on that rank. That makes sense.
I don't.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't want to just like be able to say, "Hey guys, I'm GM." I don't really care about the number, like the title. I just want to be able to play at that level because it looks really fun and high level and a lot of thought behind it that I don't really feel is in my games here.
Yeah, understandable. Yeah, that's understandable. You actually mentioned that you want to get over anxiety from the social side of the comp as well. Can you elaborate on that? Why it's been difficult for you
Um,
regarding that?
I guess this is more, I don't know how much a coach can help with this, but I wanted to mention it anyway because it's something I deal with. I will intentionally not pick heroes into situations where I think they might be good just because I don't want to mess up and make my teammates mad at me, or uh, I won't make a push that I think would be good sometimes in order to not potentially completely whiff like, you know what I mean? Like if I were to, like, say I have a visor behind them and I could really go for something, but I'll be a little paranoid that they might get mad at me and won't do it or something like that. Other times that really doesn't happen, especially when I'm autopiloting. And when I'm autopiloting, I make the dumbest visors, dude.
Yeah,
But um, uh,
understandable.
that's a big one of it. Like Widow, I used to play a ton of Widow when the game first came out. First two seasons of Overwatch, I played a lot of Widow. I don't touch her anymore though because I just assume my teammates think I'm trolling right away, which
Hmm.
just things like that.
Okay.
I play with chat muted. I I I, I need to get over that.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Well, there are definitely some tools we can be going over with you later on. I think maybe not necessarily today. Maybe our next sessions as well. We can definitely elaborate on that. First of all, see how is everything gonna be after the first session. Maybe it's gonna already give you enough confidence to practice. If there are gonna be some difficulties, yeah, just the effectiveness of the practice gonna struggle. We can definitely just talk about that. I put that in notes. The mentality part definitely can work on that too. Obviously, we're not doing the therapy. It's just some of the coaching
Yeah.
tools we're gonna be using, and
Heck, I have an actual therapist. I should probably just tell her about this stuff.
yeah, yeah, of course, of course. Okay, okay. Oh, it's good to know. That's good to know anyway. You also mentioned that you want to learn skills that can translate to any shooter you play. Well, you definitely made the right decision here because we're gonna talk a lot about fundamentals first of all, and they're gonna be some niche things we will discuss too, but mostly we'll be
Awesome.
focusing on fundamentals first, and you can apply it to any shooter to be honest, so it's gonna be all right. Obviously there's some differences because this is a hero shooter. There are some abilities we gotta keep in mind. There's also a team thing. Yeah, you're not on your own, like on some games too. So that is something you wanna keep in mind too. Okay, your short-term goals right now are recognizing break autopilot. Okay, so that's the thing you mentioned as well. How do you? Well, can you elaborate on that a little bit more? What exactly happens when you autopilot? What is that about? So what
I
do you
feel like
think is the problem? Mm-hmm.
I think at the beginning of rounds, I pay attention very well, and that, unless something, barring rare situations, but then as soon as the fights break out and I let instinct take over a little bit, I drift, if that makes sense, in my brain, and
Hmm.
I don't pay attention to positioning. I don't, or I do, but not to where I should. I watching you do training stuff with other people. There was a diamond soldier that you were helping. I watched that whole VOD. It I could see all the little things that I know I would never even think to analyze if I were in an actual game. I'll just and there are times where it's soldiers, so you're gonna be playing offlines and stuff. I will just be down Main Street with the tank firing behind my Reinhardt shield, and I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I here?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I don't know. I don't know how to break that habit.
Okay. I think one of the biggest things to just in dealing with autopilot, you need to have more some sort of action you pay attention to. We just want to make sure there's some sort of goal you keep it in mind. Yeah, the breaking autopilot, it's not necessarily, it's also bad that we autopilot a lot of times. If we autopilot on the good things, yeah, if you're able to just get in the flow and implement the concepts correctly, yeah, there's even a concept behind it. Yeah, you just the flow, yeah, the flow state. Yeah, this is what they call it.
Oh,
When
okay.
you're just in the flow state, you doing stuff so perfectly and you're able to apply the teachings correctly, but it's not like you're thinking about it too much, to be honest. You're still an autopilot,
Mhm.
but it's good
So I guess
autopilot.
it's more.
Hmm.
I guess my issue then would be more I'm falling back on bad habits instead of
Yeah, yeah.
falling on good ones.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. That's why it's not necessarily that autopilot itself is bad. We never want autopilot. It's that we want autopilot on the other things and create the habits, so it's going to be easier for you to start implementing. And that's why you also don't have to analyze a lot right in the game. What you're going to be doing, all the small stuff, you just need to make sure you get in more natural state when you practice some sort of concept. Maybe it's your positioning, maybe it's your decisions, doesn't matter. You just want to make sure you get to the place where it's more natural for you, so you can apply it at any point of time. And the tricky part here when we're trying to break this bad autopilot, yeah, falling back into the bad habits, is that we need to put an effort towards practicing those new habits. So this is where you need to think about the routines, how you're going to be doing that. What do you think? If you're practicing the new concept, what could be helpful for you to keep yourself focused on the new good habit? What you could be doing?
Um, well, actually, there's a question I was going to ask later on that's related to this, so this works.
Yeah.
I I've had advice before that um, to work things into instinct, you pick a very specific aspect of something you have to work on and
Yes.
just hone that in over and over and over until it's second nature. Like, just always paying attention to where everybody is on the map or where, your information of your team and your opponents, and don't care about your aim, don't care about your positioning as much. Just focus on that, do that over and over and over. Um, I it seemed like a good idea, but I didn't know how accurate it was because like in my head I'm thinking, okay, well if you get really good at that and then you start bringing in, start focusing on positioning instead, well now I can't do both at the same time. Is my brain able to do that? Like, am I gonna forget to do the thing I learned before? But this is correct though, you're saying. So like
Hmm.
I should pick something like that, right? I should focus on crosshair, like if I want to, if I'm having issues with aim. Um, I should focus on positioning and just positioning, uh, stuff like that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but the thing you mentioned is just right. It has to be more specific. So even positioning is a bit broad topic. You just want to identify what are the potential small things you're practicing, and yeah, you're practicing it when until it becomes more second nature. But I'm actually curious, when you was getting this kind of feedback, did you have a chance to apply this into your games, and how that went for you?
I haven't done it yet. No. It was actually something I just saw on a YouTube video a couple days ago, and I was like, I'm gonna ask Gefest,
Yeah,
but I wasn't totally sure if it was an effective way to do it.
this is
I've
effective.
tried to
Yeah.
like.
Mhm.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, this is effective. Yeah, just wanted to say that. Yeah, continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, I especially have been trying to like one specific thing I've been trying to do better on Soldier is the offline and not playing down the center. And that's honestly a relatively new concept for me on Soldier until I saw um a some sort of video last week. I didn't think that that was like your main job on Soldier. I thought it was just something you do every once in a while. But so that. that video you put with that diamond player, I think last week or something like that on YouTube has helped a lot because I've focused on finding the angles that are good for me, and giving them up if they're not good anymore and finding a different one. So I've been trying to
Mm,
do that
mm.
specifically, if that makes sense. I think that's, yeah.
That's really good. That's really good. And that went pretty decent for you, yeah? That sort of
Yeah.
stuff.
The problem is though, because other things happen, like once I have a tracer in my face or a Genji in my face or something, all that goes out the window again. I have to try to bring myself back to it, and I'm not too great at that yet.
Yeah, this is where when you implement the stuff, you kind of keep doing that, but then you can figure out the details, what else we're missing as well. It's not like we gotta stop doing something what we did before and unlearn it. It's more how we can make it work and also focus on the other things. This is where you mentioned, well, you kind of practice one specific thing. Yeah, practice. It becomes more natural, and then you start practicing another thing, and that's where you maybe your another thing could be how do I deal with the tracer? How do I deal with the Genji? Yeah,
Mhm.
and to be honest, it's not like we're also gonna be forgetting the previous stuff been you've been learning. Yeah, it's that you might also notice that you're not applying the previous stuff at the best level too when you learn new stuff, but that's completely fine, to be honest. You just want to at all times you focusing the concept. You can increase your skill maybe like 5%, 6%, 7%. Yeah, and then when you start learning new stuff, well, guess what, maybe it's gonna go, the other stuff you learned is gonna be going 5 or maybe 4% down. I'm just it's not the accurate numbers, but
Yeah,
I'm just kind of an example. Yeah, it's
I
gonna
get you.
go down, but at the same time the previous learning you've done, it's still gonna be beneficial in the long run. You'll see, okay, I still do, if we will look at you, if you've done the proper training, you're still gonna be doing the previous concept you've been learning better, even though you start learning something new after and try to add it. It's not also that you will try to keep all the things in mind because it's became your second nature. Yeah, maybe we talking about you taking off angles all the time. Yeah, like you mentioned, not staying in the main.
Mhm.
Well, once it becomes more second nature, then you don't have to think about that too much. Too, you just go there and you try to
Man, I
apply
hope
pressure.
so.
Yeah,
Off angles especially. So I would love for that to be second nature because
yeah.
applying it actively, I'm like, God, this is so frustrating to figure out.
Yeah, I understand. I understand. That's where we can also definitely do some of the live sessions as well on that, and might be also dive into the autopilot a little bit more because this is good. You mentioned, well, let's practice one thing at a time, but this can also be a more advanced strategy if you struggle with autopilot too. I will, yeah,
Mhm.
we can go with that just once we finish going over the goals. I think might be good to
Cool.
start with that, and then after we can look at the replay as well. Is that sounds good with you?
Yep, sounds great to
Yeah,
me.
okay. Then let's look at what else you
And if
mentioned.
I gave like weird or unnecessary info, feel free to skip it. Like I said, I've never done coaching for games before, so I didn't really know what, like, how to identify what might be a short-term versus long-term goal, something like that,
Oh,
So,
no, it's good. No, it's not so weird. I just however you understood it, all of that tells me about you as a player, like where you are, what are your thoughts, everything, to be honest, so we
mhm.
can align the sessions accordingly. So it's not
Awesome.
that there's wrong or right answer. You just put whatever you think is suitable for those themes, and then we go based on that.
Gotcha.
That's okay. I think that's fine. Okay, and you also mentioned that's really good. You also mentioned that you want to focus on the learning skills. That's just perfect. A lot of the players they're making the mistake. They focus on the rank a little bit too much, but we know that if we have certain skill set that you reach certain rank inevitably. You don't have to just focus on the goal, the rank itself. Yeah, it's just the journey,
Exactly.
the skills.
I have
Yeah.
I have some friends that are like, man, if I could just get into a GM lobby, I could do just fine. It's just that I'm stuck at this rank, dude. But me, I watch a GM video and I'm like, I could not survive this. There's no way.
Yeah, but a lot of people think differently. They tell those streamers, "You just get better teammates or something, and then that's why you're winning." You know, if I would be at the GM lobby, I would do good. But a lot of times, it's just the skill set. You wanna keep that in mind. Obviously, there's a certain degree the teammates but you gotta keep in mind the response to those situations because the game is also testing you. It's seeing, oh, are we getting mentally broke after certain games? If we lost multiple games, so we get this annoying teammate or something. Yeah, how we respond? Are we gonna be tilted and then perform really bad as well? This is some sort of test too. A lot of people they don't see that as well. You kind of because to be the highest rank, you also need to have some mental as well, and just know that the loss it affects you in a way, and you need to know how do you deal with that, so you'll be able to stay at the highest rank. Anyway,
And that's a big reason why I have chat off because any sort of negative criticism, I take it to heart, and my mental is broken, and I'm not going to do well anymore in the rest of the game.
yeah, that's. I think it's fine if you mute the chat if it's helping. I think why not? You can definitely do that, and I also yeah, I think that's fine. We can definitely elaborate on that later. Maybe if there are gonna be some problems you notice with
Yeah.
dealing with difficult teammates whatsoever, we can definitely go with that too. There's no
Mhm.
problem. Okay, well, let's see what else you mentioned. You also mentioned that you think that you need to work on probably the biggest one, a poor positioning. I think I have some very bad habits. Okay, so it's exactly what you mentioned about just staying down the main line. Yeah, main lane.
Yeah.
Mm.
I early on, I've been playing since since right after beta release, and I didn't I never thought to utilize like I played a lot of McCree or Cassian out at first, and I just never thought to utilize side angles at all. I thought Reinhardt has a big shield, so I'm going to shoot behind the
Oh
big
yeah.
shield. I need to stay with the tank, and so it's kind of just a new concept to me to pick these different positions. And so even before that, though, I know I had bad positioning. I was always hit by every shatter. I was, I was the one getting hit by. I would fire at like popular angles. I don't know what that would be called, like where a Junkrat would be shooting the entire time, and then
Oh.
I just, you know, I know those are just bad habits. And every time I die to it, I'm like, man, I'm standing exactly where I would be shooting if I were that Junkrat, and yet I'll go and do it again.
Yeah, that I would say definitely gotta also keep in mind this in mind just different routes in a way. Just think, okay, where could we be going next? I think this is definitely the big thing too. Yeah, keeping in mind, for example, Junkrat. Yeah, just where they are too. This definitely helps. Okay, let's see. Is there anything else you mentioned? Poor engage, disengage, especially with ultimates. You do track ultimates economy, but that kind of creates an anxiety on when to use my own ults. Okay,
Exactly.
are you comfortable tracking ultimates in general, you feel like?
As long as I'm not like completely brain off or distracted, I'm pretty good about it, at least in the really, really big important ones, you
Hmm.
know. Um, in other games, I do the same thing. My friends make fun of me in Rivals because I'll yell out what ult's about to happen before it happens. um, it's it. I'm not gonna say I'm like 10 out of 10 amazing at it,
Hmm.
but I'm at least adequate at it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I think this is fine. Something we can also work on because I think a lot of your decisions just you got into ultimates as well that can also affect your positioning, just where you can be on the map too. So that's good to
Mhm.
know. Okay. Let's see. Is there anything else you mentioned? Poor special awareness of my team enemies alike. At all times feels overwhelming to keep track of where everyone is, and you don't know how others do it. Hmm.
Yeah.
Did
See,
you? Yeah.
oh, go ahead. Sorry. Oh,
Yeah. Continue.
in I actually sometimes I prefer playing Rivals because it's third person and I can see around me a lot better. That 103 FOV in
Ah.
Overwatch gets me, but I enjoy Overwatch more as a game, so I keep playing it. When I get like a Genji on me, when I start hearing those footsteps, his footsteps, I don't know where he is half the time. I know what he does. I know where he dashes to, stuff like that. But spatially, I'm when a diver's on me, I'll focus too much on trying to figure where they are, and I don't know where they are, and then I completely forget to listen and pay attention to other heroes' spatial stuff, and so that's just one scenario of an issue I have. But and then another one's like big fights with lots of ultimates going down. And there's so many things on the screen, um, that I just can lose track of really important people. But when I watch a stream or even talk to other friends that I think are better than me, I doesn't seem like as big of an issue to them. Maybe I'm just getting older. I'm 36, so I don't know.
Well, it can be partially that because when we old, then because you also have to keep the track on a lot of the things in the background. Yeah, we definitely have the other responsibilities too. So that's why it might be difficult, but it's not like it's not possible to practice this stuff. I would say it's
Okay.
just if you also think about that, all the players they have more experience as well. So in theory, you don't have to focus on just having perfect reaction, but it's a lot of times about your game sense. It's just anticipating certain events, yeah. And
Hmm.
this way you're able to position. This way you're able to also use the cooldowns in the best way possible. So it's gonna be all right. Okay, yeah,
Cool.
and this is good stuff to know. Okay, perfect. Also, the other thing you mentioned, very limited champion pool, but
Hmm.
so far your champion pool has been, let me see, just the heroes you put, the kind of heroes you play, soldier,
Hmm.
and that is all so far, right?
Yeah. So this game, Overwatch, I do off and on. I've gotten really back on it lately, and I want to branch out again. But in the past, I've played. Look at a list of everybody because there's so many now. I gotta make sure I get the ones that I've played.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, I could play Bastion. I used to play a lot of Ashe. I played a ton of Cassidy. I played Reaper. Basically, just the hit scans. I love playing hit scans. I have played some Widow. Told you before.
yeah.
I've tried to learn Symmetra, but just to be able to have that in my back pocket. But she seems very complex. I haven't really gotten too far with her yet. um,
Yeah, it's
and
definitely
that's it
different
as far as
playstyle.
damage goes.
Mm. Yeah, this is definitely a different playstyle. With the characters, the ones you mentioned, Widow and Bastion, though, it aligns with a lot of the things you do in the Soldier in a way, because those are hitscan characters. It's just with the Widow, we usually not as mobile around the angles where you can go, but you can definitely
Yeah.
hold the main lane just open space a lot and should be okay. The Bastion, yeah, there are definitely some similarities to Soldier, just not as much mobility. A lot of burst though, so you gotta keep that in mind. But yeah, okay,
Yeah, I'd like to
makes.
branch out at
Mm,
least to have maybe one projectile. I've tried Mei
mm,
before and she was fun, but I don't know how to position with Mei at all in fights. Like I don't know what to do. I go out, like I get bursted down really quickly. I shift, and then at the end of the shift, people are watching for me, so I've got a wall right away. Suddenly, I have no abilities anymore, and they just walk around and kill me. I know that a lot of that is probably timing of
mm.
when I go in on the fight too, and stuff like that. But I'm really green with Mei.
Yeah, it can be. It can be. I think partially. It's just the time is definitely one of the biggest a lot of times, but it can also be some other stuff. Maybe your position, maybe even awareness. Yeah, the one you mentioned. Sometimes it's hard to be aware of where everybody is. But to be honest, the more you practice, the easier it's gonna be. It's kind of similar to what we mentioned about the other part. If you just focus on the small thing and work on that, it should be alright for the long term.
Awesome.
Yeah, it should be alright. Just make it easy. You don't have to focus on everything at once. You just can start tracking one of your teammate. Yeah, maybe it's your tank. Maybe there's gonna be something else you can track. Yep, stuff like
That's
that.
awesome. Even knowing that is going to help me a lot because I was worried to really apply that because I didn't want to mess up my brain and have it too focused too much on one thing. But like you said, that's totally fine. It'll ultimately be better for me.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I think. Okay, well, let's just go over. Let me see if there's anything else. I think that's been pretty much it. Solo QPC, yeah, this makes sense. 14, 15 hours playtime is good too. And you also been playing FPS games since Quake 3 Arena. which has been
Yeah,
off
long
and
time.
on. Yeah, well, it's still good experience. If you got some of the FPS experience, I think this is perfect.
Yep, I
This
got the carpal tunnel to prove it. I did not sit properly when I was a kid.
ah, well, I think a lot of us do have that problem. Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. Well, to be honest with you as well, regarding the pool, it's not like we have to also force ourselves to play other characters too much. You can potentially even one tweak the character. Just keep in mind, it might be better to just be suitable in more situations. Usually have around 2, 3 characters. Regarding where
Mhm.
your rank is, Plat 2, I would definitely start adding the second character. That would be nice. Just
Okay.
think
That,
what that could be. Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's something I kind of wanted to talk to you about too, because I wanted to find someone that would complement a soldier with well, like for when they have a really good Genji or a really good somebody that is just diving me very well. Um, that's kind of why I picked up May in the first place. And I tried Symmetra too. I don't know. I don't know enough about hero pool
Yeah.
choices. Maybe you could identify someone I might like later based on how I play or something.
Yeah, I think it was if you really like Soldier and you also tried out Widow and Bastion, I definitely think for the consistency's sake, it makes it better if you focus on the hit scan characters. Usually, you can focus on projectile too, but we don't have to right now. To be honest,
Okay.
you can keep focusing on yeah, on the hit scan, but just keep in mind that those going to be suitable for other situations. Well, with hero pool, what you want to be paying attention to is be suitable in 3 main situations. I would describe it this way. You can have the situation where there's more brawl oriented. By the way, this is something what we will talk about more later. There's no problem.
Okay.
But yeah, brawl situation is kind of to quickly explain the tanks, maybe like Ryan, the characters like May, you also might also have Lucy with them fighting really close fights. There's gonna be brawl. There are
Okay.
situations where you're gonna have poke composition. This is compositions which are shooting from really far, position at the long distance typically. So soldier is kind of suitable in this category. For example, he usually stands pretty far, poking down, so you might be fine for those situations. And there are also situations where we have dive composition is all about mobility, getting from one place to another real quick. So maybe characters like Tracer or characters like Winston, he can get from one place to another and then try to look for the dive on the enemy team. This sort of stuff.
Okay.
So this is what you want to
Gotcha.
be suitable with. Soldier is kind of, it can be suitable in I would say poke and maybe also dive as well. Brawl only if you have the open space. You see, the soldiers thing is you got mobility, but you also got the long distance. So you got to keep that in mind. So
Mhm.
I definitely think maybe if you have even the characters you played before, the character like Widow can be good addition, I think, to your pool. Your if we're talking about the hit scan, Tracer can be good addition as well for the dive, for example. So you can also pick that up. Maybe the characters like Bastion could also work as well if you want to add one of
Where
those.
does
But yeah. Mm-hmm.
where does Reaper fit into that?
A Reaper is usually fit in more brawl category. It's kind of you usually notice the characters, especially new ones, they are pretty versatile. You can obviously you kind of have this sort of triangle. You can on one side have brawl, and another side is spoke, and another side is dive, and the Reaper is leaning more towards the brawl category. So
Okay.
just because they're fighting up close. Well, in your case, Reaper is not too bad to add to be honest, because Soldier is a long range character, so why not to add Reaper just in case when we fight in closed spaces, we have brawl comp as well. Why not? Can also be
Okay.
good. Up to you. Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
think you
Yeah.
want to focus on Reaper later on as well?
Yeah, I would like to know how to play someone closer too. But I mean, I think that the main, if I could, the main stuff would be the longer ones like Soldier, maybe
Yeah,
even Widow.
Soldier.
And I do still like playing Cassidy. And but I'd love to try to learn somebody with a different type of positioning, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. That makes total sense. Okay. Well, this is perfect. A lot of useful info. We have a lot of notes now, so we can work based of the base of all those things. And let's
Cool.
maybe just start going over the autopilot first. Some of the things we can be doing to just fix that. Well, definitely the first stuff, just focus on one thing at a time. That's a good thing. But I also recommend doing it this way. I'm just gonna screen share and show it to you. Can you see the stream?
Okay. Yep, I can see.
Okay, perfect. I'm just gonna make sure I put the name in here so it will not disappear. Okay. Yeah, so the big thing is when we try to focus on something in specific, it just can be, well, in your case, we might be focus on one problem per game. Let's name it X, yeah, and you're just gonna be practicing. Yeah, you're just going in the game. Maybe you remind yourself. Maybe put something in notes. Whatever you're gonna be practicing. That can be your concept. That's what we can also figure out today. And the thing is, because when you focus on one problem per game, even though it's true, yeah, this is important. You can think about the learn-term practice a little bit more too. It's gonna be this way. Ideally, you can start with just picking 3 things for your game session. So let's just maybe even put it in here. Uh, Pick 3 concepts. Well, let's just say 3 things to work on in your game session. And then after that, let's just make it bigger. And then after that,
Yep.
we can actually focus on this one, whatever the problem you want to work on. Okay? And see, why we're doing it this way is because you don't want to fall into autopilot again, because what happens when we focus on just one problem for a long period of time, you might end up in the situation where, I will give you an analogy. Imagine you sit in a really long lecture and there's one lecture about the physics, so maybe math, and it's going on and on for 3 hours. The thing is,
Mhm.
when you're gonna be in the present during this class, your attention is gonna drop. So it kind of will look like this. Yeah, imagine each rectangle is kind of 1 hour of your whatever you do. Maybe it's the class, or maybe it's your game session. Yeah, you keep focusing on this X topic. Yeah, and then
Mhm.
you again just repeating this and keep focusing on that stuff. Your attention is gonna drop. This is gonna be the big problem. Okay. What else as well might happen if you focus on the one topic for a really long period of time? What do you think? What are the downsides as well?
Let me think. So focus on the same thing over and over. You might become blind to. Yeah, I don't know. I could be wrong on that, but like you might actually maybe overthink it a little bit.
This might be, yeah, it just might be
That
as
that
well.
tends to be me sometimes. If I do the same thing over and over, I start overthinking it and not thinking naturally about the concepts anymore.
Yeah, this can happen, and it's just partially as well because your attention is dropping. It's hard for you to maintain just the focus on that stuff. Yeah, your other things are getting in your head because you wanted to start yourself actually focus on something different. I think, and this makes sense because you
That makes sense.
focusing on one concept for really, really long. But this idea still applies, right? We still want to make sure we focus on something for long periods of time, so we put everything in our long-term memories, so it's going to be like a second nature, like we said. So what you can be doing instead of doing this here, so we don't have to do it this way, you can try to focus on everything this way. So you can start with, well, let's just say same model. We're gonna have the 3 rectangles. Maybe each rectangle can be representing your one game or one round, and afterwards, when you be moving between those games, so between those rounds, you can do it this way. Just start working on one idea, let's say one concept X, and then there's going to be second concept Y, and then there might be even third concept Z, but after that, you can move back and refocus on the X again, and then
Okay.
repeat that with the other concepts. And this is usually how it works. with this model. This is called the interlead practice. It's also just applies in university or maybe in the schools as well. That's how it can be applied to. So it's easy for you to remember, and it's really good
Huh.
because your long-term memory is gonna be, well, it's gonna benefit a lot from this because you keep revisiting the previous ideas. Yeah, like in your case, revisiting X idea, Y, or Z, and you also will solve the problem with attention. Your attention will not drop because you are focusing on the other stuff as well, and this way it
I'm
makes it
giving my
easy.
brain something new to do. Like shifting things up.
Yeah, exactly. Attention will stay high. If you notice that for some reason you still break into autopilot, then the the solutions I usually try to narrow down uh, all of this refocuses a little bit more. For some people, it might be even that every round you can switch and focus on something else. But that's why you gotta maybe make notes and just see, okay, what I'm working on. XYZ, maybe put the sticky notes somewhere or just the phone notes in front of you. Write the goals down, make it simple, and just switch between those each round or each game. Because the problem in reality, the problem with autopilot is that we either focus on one concept for a really long period of time, so your attention drops, so you start thinking about the other stuff, or there's another side of the problem which I noticed is where students just focus on too many things. So their mind looks like X, Y, Z in one rectangle. And this is not good, too, because you're overthinking. Yeah, you're overthinking and you kind of freeze and you're not
I'm
working
guilty.
on one goal at a time. You work on everything. Yeah.
I'm so guilty.
Yeah. That's why I try to do it this way. I think, yeah, this model, one concept per game, and yes, we gotta switch to the other stuff too, but just do it with discipline, so you're not focusing on everything at once. There are definitely a lot of, this is a common problem. A lot of students do that, just focus on too many things at times. So you
I
gotta
like
be,
this. I've never
yeah.
never heard anything about this before.
Well, this is good. Well, this is something what we applying with the most of the students at work. So obviously, we can also dive in more in depth. There's it's simple model, but we can also make it more comprehensive later if we need. But I would start with that for now. I'm just gonna screenshot this for you. I will put it in the
Okay,
notes. All the notes which I'm making, by the way, you will receive those after the session. You can also reflect on your progress there. There's gonna be students section notes, but yeah,
awesome.
all the notes are gonna be in the Google Doc. I will send it to you afterwards.
Cool.
It
I was
should be
taking
alright.
notes. I didn't know. It for
Well,
sure.
it's good that you take notes. Do take notes because this is perfect. This is what I encourage that to do that. If
Oh, okay, cool.
most yeah, obviously. Yeah, because it's like when you on the lecture or something, it's always sticks better when you make your own notes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Let me just solve one problem with Overwatch. I think I need to. It's just gonna take 1 minute to probably just. I need to get out of Discord and then get in again, and should work. Can you just,
Okay.
yeah, just 1 minute? I'll be back and
Yeah,
we'll
no
start with
worries.
your replay. Yeah, let's see. I
Take your
think,
time, man.
yeah,
No
just
worries.
to update, there's some difficulty with that. Okay, give me a second. I'll be back.
Gotcha.
All right. All right. I think everything's fixed. Everything should be all right. I just rebooted everything,
Awesome.
so it's good. Okay, well, I'm gonna screen share. And yeah, do you have any questions when we gonna go into this replay so far?
Not really. I didn't get a chance to watch it back myself just because I was grinding out games real quick to try to get a meaningful one to review. So I don't fully remember everything that happened in here. I just kind of, but I will as we go. I do remember the first death and the second death, and they were embarrassing. Yeah, I don't know. You'll see them.
That's okay. That's okay. That happens. Any of the stuff you've been looking to practice during this game, because you mentioned quite a lot of stuff just about your positioning and the other stuff. So, what have you been trying to implement in this game?
Um, it was this was another game where I was trying to implement off angles. And before I had watched that coaching session with you and that person last week, I would have just ran in with my team. Walked right in with my junk. Can I think of her name? Junker Queen.
Yeah.
But here I tried to like right away get in at an off
Oh,
angle and immediately died to Genji.
nice. Well, I like it though. I like it though. There are few things to work on, probably regarding that, but let's see. Maybe I think it's a good start if we just focus on the off angles part and how you do take those, how you utilize those. Let's start with that. So,
Okay.
off angle itself is good. Okay, perfect. You're already at a good track. Now, when we trying to use this off angle, what do you think? What can help you out to make sure that you survive on this angle more? You get more value out of this angle, basically.
Um, Keeping a line of sight with my healers. Is that what
Mm-hmm.
you mean? Like, 'cause
Okay.
they can't see me at all right now. Also, I should have used the cover on the left side more until I saw what was out in the field, maybe.
Okay. Okay. This can be.
Also, height. The height is like that's why I immediately went up here to try to survive longer, avoid people underneath me.
Yeah, this is really good, right? Because you have good vision from here, so why not? We can be if we think about your angle. This the angle itself is good, but what if you try to position on this angle even earlier, right? So the shortest route. What if we try to go this way? What do you think? You just instantly try to get on the off angle if you want,
Okay.
and try to.
My
Mhm.
reasoning that I went that way was I just wanted to fire a Helix like as soon as possible like, for free damage. Do
Hmm.
you think it would have been more worth it to take the shorter route?
What do you think was more beneficial, firing the helix or getting the best position possible here first?
That okay, when you put it that way, that's a good point. I definitely should have gone for the positioning.
Yeah, but well, I'm phrasing it this way, but this is just one of the
That's a
ideas.
great point.
Yeah, one of the ideas we usually want to look into typically, and it's when the normal fight breaks in too, 5v5. You just want to get the best position possible first, and after that, you can try to do something. You can try to apply pressure, and I also do think that the point about the helix makes sense, the uptime. But keep in mind that you don't want to sacrifice the uptime with the helix and just do that for being here. You don't want to sacrifice it with the bad position. You want to make sure that you get good position first, in a way. And after
That makes
and after
sense.
that, we can try to put up the pressure, and maybe even the helix socket can also be done from this position too. So I would just put it this way: I try to set up first. Okay, you already have the good reasoning, taking off angles, but make sure this is the first priority. Set up first. Obviously, there are times when we can sneak in the pressure before the fight, even before the setup, but make sure it's not harming. Yeah, if you're trying to do the pressure before, it's not harming your setup. We want to make sure that this
Every
is.
action
Mhm.
equal and opposite. Man, I by doing that I disadvantaged myself. It's a good point.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I
Whatever advantage point you want to build in, because if you think you have the right thinking too, yeah, because you want to build an advantage, and you can build it with Helix Rocket, or you can build it with position, or both. Ideally, you want to do both. Okay, but if you have to choose between the Helix Socket or position, I definitely think that the position comes first because it allows you for the better uptime. And imagine you have the better uptime here. maybe you can push this Genji away early so they will not be easily getting to you. Imagine I'm just 2 seconds early. I'm not sure. Well, you have this position, gotta keep shooting, yeah? And this guy's not getting to you. It's one part. Maybe there's someone else as well, but this is gonna be great if you get there first. Yep.
Gotcha.
Okay. So this stuff, set up first, and is there anything else? I just want you to look. It's pretty simple, probably, but you see why a lot of attention goes towards you right away. Is there anyone else who should be distracting on your team? Is there anybody who should absorb pressure
Yeah, the
on your
tank.
team?
The tank should be there, and that's more me going too early, maybe
Mm.
because I don't know. Do you think, or am I thinking?
Now, what do you think? How it feels like? Is the tank, when we try to peek at this range versus the Genji as well, they have the dash, something to keep in mind. So it feels like we're kind of in this active state by the fight. And during the active state, we want our tank to also be active. It's not bad to shoot before, like I mentioned. Yeah, it's definitely fun. Put in the poke and maybe even Halleck socket, but make sure when there's active stage of the fight, also want the activity from our tank. And in this case, what do you think? How active they look like? Maybe you can even look
Uh,
at their
my
perspective.
team? No, my team is definitely staying back, watching the angle and deciding when to go in. Still, they're very
Yes,
defensive.
slightly more. So, what do you think is a good decision if they're waiting here? What is better to do in this case?
Back up. I shouldn't have gone in yet.
Well, it's can be that. Okay, it can be backup. Well, but I want to challenge you. What if you go more forward this way?
Oh, okay.
What do you think?
Maybe just move more.
Maybe.
Oh, okay, that makes sense because by moving over there, that I'm exerting pressure to the right, and they would
Mm-hmm.
have to come and deal with me over there.
Yep.
It that gives my team an opening to come in.
Makes sense, yeah. And see, the concept behind it is it doesn't matter ultimately where you move. I think you can move here or there, even though I would argue that moving forward can be even more beneficial in theory, but it just might be more risky, yes, because you're gonna be leaning towards their side of the map, kind of, because they might push you this way, for example. But it's
Mhm.
still doable. It's still doable. The thing behind it, if you want to maintain an off angle like this, you want to have the distance from certain angles. So if we thinking about this, why this guy's killing us? Because he's in the dash range, okay? And because he's in the dash range now, we want to be more aware about the active state. Yeah, this is what I mean by active state. Active state of the fight, or like I also call it bro phase sometimes, is when both teams can actively exchange abilities. Okay, so
Okay.
when your tank is active, you gotta be active as well, and this especially applies really important. I'm gonna write it down. Really important in the brawl phase. Okay, because if the tank is not active, then a lot of pressure goes to you. There's one, and another
Mm,
thing. If they're not active, then what do? We just need to keep distance from the angles, usually from the sweating angles. That's one idea. There also might be some other ideas, but you can maintain the distance by going back this way, by going forward this way, and see while you're doing this, you kind of in a way setting up, and then the active state of the fight happens, and you can start peeking a little bit more. Yeah, this is kind of
okay.
tank is active. You gotta be active. Yeah, it just in the brawl phase. Okay, doesn't
Gotcha.
make sense to those things together. Doesn't make sense to you.
Yeah. So,
Mm-hmm.
just to repeat back, like
Mm-hmm.
I need to match the way that the phase that my tank and my team are in. So if they're active, I need to be active with them. If they're more defensive, I need to be maintaining distance
Yeah,
as a
in
soldier specifically.
theory, yeah, in theory, kind of distance from angles, but it doesn't mean that you cannot exist on your own angle. It doesn't mean that we gotta stay with your team. You still can take those positions. Just make sure there's more safe distance in a way, so you're not in the you're not peeking them right away, so all the pressure goes to you, right? So it's gonna be fine.
Makes sense.
Imagine if you go deeper. Well, this still can sort of work. Maybe the tank by the time probably will have enough time to engage, and then you can also peek out, try to do something from there, and
I'll
we'll
admit,
be
when I went up those steps and I saw Genji, I immediately was like, I'm dead. Like, I was
yeah.
like,
Well,
he's in dash range. This was a mistake. So I kind of just like panicked and ran away.
you know the thing. I would also say you probably can live in just the small micros if you know the situation happens as well. Think about your healing. Wait, yes, think about your healing as a tool which allows you to stay on the angle as well. I want you to try to maintain angles. It's just how you do that. So one topic, well, one part is tank. Okay, let's look at that. There's also distance from angles, but I think even more important is just your you're healing. You're healing right there. Okay, so if the
I
Genji
waited to
goes
do it
on
till I
us,
got down the steps.
yeah. What is the best time for you to use your healing station? What do you think?
When I feel like I'm about to get into a fight, like when I feel like I'm about to start taking damage, like as it's coming at me, I probably
Hmm.
should have used it like as he saw me. Like as soon as I
Oh.
rounded that corner.
Well,
Maybe no,
let's
I could be totally
say
wrong.
let's say we use it now, and the Genji makes a decision to kite and then engage you later, right? So what is more beneficial? Use your healing station, scare them first, and then engage you. They engage you after, or they engage you and you use your healing station. What do you think?
Oh, engaging me would probably be better because he's here. He's blown his dash now, and then I can use he's committed.
Yeah, yeah. That's a big thing with
Okay.
this positioning. That's why I actually do that too. That's why you get an off angles because you can force a commitment, and if they make a commitment, you can punish them after. It's
I gotta think of Genji's dash as a commitment more. It resets, so like in my head, I'm thinking he has it all the time, but
yeah, yeah,
but it resets on kill. It doesn't reset for no reason.
yeah. Exactly, exactly. So you will not give them kill that easily, and it's gonna be following this idea. You just start with mouse one, they use cooldowns, enemy does something, and then you punish them with your own cooldowns. You kind of go second in a way. It's not that we wait all the time. No, you still being proactive with your position and everything. And after they done something, you punish them. I think it's even better because if you use your ability first, then that is where they can punish you. I think usually. So,
No,
but
that makes sense. And if he doesn't dash at me, that's fine. I just dash, or I don't dash. I
yeah,
strafe until he commits.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So those three things, let's keep those in mind. Kind of just your tank, your healing station, maybe distance from angles as well. See how we can implement it later as well during the next fights. Okay. If you also look at any boss examples doing this, I just want to maybe show you something, and then later on we can keep watching this one. You just
Okay.
so concept is clear. Okay, maybe I usually watch some of the France examples on this. Okay,
Mhm.
might be good one to look at. Let me see the front. Okay, this one and this here. I think this sounds like a good thing to look at. Okay, because they're really good soldier to be honest. He's so good at just maintaining the angles. Okay, let's.
One
I
of
will
the
show.
gods.
Okay, I will show you this one here. Oh, what was that? Sorry.
Oh, I just said defends one of the gods.
Yeah, he's really good. He's really good, definitely. Soldier, Tracer, and he's also in Europe server too. I'm from Europe too. I've been playing with him quite a lot and against him too.
Oh wow.
He's really good. Right. Well, unfortunately, I was not able to get some clips going that time when I was playing actively because I didn't have good PC. There have been some fun times,
Oh man.
definitely. Yeah. Definitely fun. Okay, let's watch for timing with the tank, healing station, how we can use it to maintain the angle, and distance from angles. That's going to be the big thing.
Okay.
And you will see them they will try to take an angle right away. They kind of go deeper. This is a little bit unusual route, even left side. But why? Because there's aggression towards them. The enemy is trying to close the gap, and they don't want that. They want to keep their distance if possible. Okay? And I'll see this. The
Mhm.
healing station is exactly used when there's some sort of pressure done. Yeah, there's kind of more commitment. Usually look at your HP and maybe look at some of the cooldowns commitment too. And this way you can start using your healing station. There's maybe not too much cooldown commitment, but there's been pretty a lot of the positional commitment though, I would say. Yeah, those characters are like which are chasing him, those are Larry and Cass. So
Mhm.
those are definitely if you watch them making more positional commitment, you can start using the healing station typically. But see how they maintain the distance, the range. These guys are chasing him, that's why he's running away. He's just keeping the distance from the angles at all times. He's just trying to
And
shoot.
he's still making a ton of value for his team because two people are chasing his
Yeah,
one, right?
yeah, exactly. He would name the video "Infinite Flanker" here, but well, just because he wants to be on the flank most of the time. Yes, he want to do continuous damage, and see once those guys are not around anymore. Well, he's not waiting for them to disengage completely, but just once they made the rotation go towards the point, and then he starts
Mhm.
closing the gap, and it's gonna be all right. Okay, they're
Okay.
running. Yeah, at this from this point, they actually wanted it to spawn camp a little bit as well. Maybe you want to be careful when taking too long rotation, but the idea is the same. When we are at this type of the angles, watching for the timing, the distance. So you have that distance now, and the timing is gonna be my sig is getting active, especially. Okay, there also might be some other triggers, or some exceptions. Usually, exception is, for example, one simple is when you're confident to get a kill whenever, then you go for it. Okay, if not, then you usually want to wait for the time with your tank. So see how patient they are. They're not doing
Mhm.
any pressure because the tank should get some sort of activity, and I think they kind of do get the activity going. So
Wow.
they
I
start.
would have
Yeah.
I would have gone for one of them there. I would not have thought to run. And I would have died 100%, don't get me wrong.
Well, it's hard thing to implement, definitely. But if you get the timing right, I even think during that example, the timing is not perfect when they've been patient. I think, yeah. If we look at this, okay, waiting. The Sigma kind of gets active, yeah. So they start receiving the pressure. We can't see that properly, but they've been
Mhm.
peeking out. Actually, see those shots too, right there. Those are the Sigmas, I believe.
Yeah.
And yeah, it can be even better to be honest, but this is still good. This is good, still pretty decent. So not entire attention goes on you, and you try to exist. Yeah, try to exist on the angles and your healing station exactly for commitment. See, they're not using it first; they are using it for commitment. Any commitment happens, then we use it later, and it should be fine. Okay, they're holding the healing station, not using it. Okay, we have this angle. This is just perfect for us. And afterwards, well, I think they're still gonna hold it for a little while. Oh, this is a good example. See the tracer? What kind of commitment they made? Let's look. Okay, they use the blink. They use the blink second time.
Two blinks.
Yeah, two blinks. It's similar to your Genji example, right? They kind of go in, use something, use ability, and then you try to disable that with your healing station. Try to play in it. They usually you want to try to do some additional movement too because you're dodging, but this is good stuff. This is what you will be doing
Okay.
most of the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that tracer definitely. I I could see the what you're talking about. The considerable commitment. That's when you pop it.
Yeah, exactly. All those things will allow you to live with the angle, and obviously, even now we mentioned three things which can help you out. But to be honest, when you will be practicing, make sure you practice one thing at a time. Yeah, you go in a game and you kind of put those in mind. Yeah, put those in the practice later, and should be okay. Enemy makes commitment. Okay, I can. Well, in your case, use your healing station. Use your E. Yeah, it's gonna be all right.
Mhm.
Okay, now let's maybe watch a little bit more of this, see what we could have done exactly with all of those ideas in mind. Yeah, do you have any
So here was
questions, by the way?
no. I would say I definitely want to make that one of the three things that you mentioned. Noting when my tank is active or passive. Like I don't I don't pay attention to that, and I really need to.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good start. Yeah, that's gonna be a good start with awareness too. You don't have to look at everybody, but maybe start with your tank. Yep. Now you can
Sounds
coach
good.
yourself in a way, thinking about what do you think about this angle? Now, all those three variables we talked about, like super perspective, what we discussed, with what the front's been doing as well. What do you think? Angle, station, distance from angles, how it looks.
um, Angle. I don't like that I'm committing at this with low health. I didn't realize that before. But I was low health.
Yeah, you definitely
Um,
need a little bit more of that. Yeah.
um, I do have. I think I have my station cooldown here. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, we should be.
The angle seems okay-ish, but I
Yeah.
was more. This was more of a scouting angle because I knew my team. I knew that they were all on the point, and I kind of took a point opposite to them. I have no idea. Like my team's not out here at all, though. I shouldn't have been out this far without my team being active. Like Diva's literally just coming out.
A little bit early,
um,
right? Not bad angle,
yeah.
but a little bit early. Yeah, I think
Mhm.
this is you're right. And full HP healing station seems alright though. Yeah, you kind of watch the commitment, okay, but there's just a little bit too much attention you got because of the timing. The time
It
is
took.
not there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I did take Tracer with me, but it
yeah,
still wasn't
yeah,
a good idea.
yeah. Still, this
I
is
guess I did get purpled too. She
yeah.
used her thing.
We still got kind of two check marks out of three. Yeah, healing station is alright for commitment. You also have had distance. Maybe you could have maintained it a little bit more afterwards as well. Go towards the doorway, but it's decent. But the tank is not there. The tank should be active first. Yeah, this is the check marks for now at least. Yeah,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
it will make it easy. Okay, let's see the next fight. We're going in.
That seems
And
so fundamental, but it's something I've never really thought about. Like, it's not in my brain to do while I'm playing.
that's okay. That's why you're gonna be putting an effort in your next games and practicing those ideas. It's gonna take some time, but it's fine. It
Cool.
should be alright. Okay,
Yeah, I took a side angle, tried to stay away.
yeah. What do you think? The angle now?
I but like what should I is this angle okay? I feel like the
Yeah, based
angle's
on what we
okay. I don't
discussed.
have anybody Ryan's not looking at me. Nobody's looking at me. I feel like I'm probably strafe dodging a little more than I really need to.
Hmm?
No, I'm kind of moving in a way that helps me aim. I don't know.
Hmm.
Well, not now. It was before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. No, I
At that
understand.
corner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you think about the timing
uh,
there?
this timing seems okay because the
Yeah.
tank is actively involved.
Yeah, the tank is also pretty doing their job too. The only question now, the healing station, what are we gonna be doing with that? There's no commitment yet towards us, and the Ox should grab HP back like the front would probably. And after that, there's no commitment, so wait, no need for anything. So this looks pretty good. Yeah, this angle looks pretty. The what we did there looks pretty good. Obviously,
Thank
we're
you.
maybe not able to break this down kind of to get full advantage, but it doesn't mean that even though you play perfectly sometimes, it's not necessarily that you're gonna win the fight. Especially with this
Mhm.
ult economy they have. We lost 2 fights in a row now, so they have everything now, every ultimate, and we have zero, right? Well, we're close to our Diva and Bob, but it still might be tough, I think. Okay.
I have been okay. So it looks like I maybe I feel like I'm okay-ish at holding the pack, except when I get dove. I feel like I like immediately like turn my brain off and don't use it properly.
That's okay.
But I
Mhm.
think I held my station that whole time. I think I could be wrong on that,
This
but
is good.
I still was too close. I think once my tank died.
Yeah. This is the part where, but you actually was able to get a kill, right, and get away with this. So you
True.
see, this is gonna be one of these exceptions where sometimes when you're confident when you get a kill, you can use it as an exception. You can engage whenever, but this usually applies to when I read the situation. Maybe if you play versus isolated character, just 1v1, and it's in your favor. Like this here, it's a long range duel. You take versus the Junkrat, so you're in favor of that duel, and it's only one Junkrat, so you can take them away, and then later on you can re-engage it. So I think this is fine. There's just exception. Yeah, but generally speaking, yeah, we following the rule. Tank is active. You're good to be active with it as well, and should be okay.
Okay,
This sort of stuff. Okay. That yeah, does it make sense?
that makes sense. Yeah,
Oh right. Okay,
it's all
that's
guidelines at the end of the day. Like there's always exceptions.
yeah, definitely. But this is one of the biggest for sure. Okay, let's look at it now. What do you think? This angle.
Angle was okay, but I went too early. My tank. Well, she's coming now. Maybe just like a second or two too early. I should have let the diva dive onto him
Yeah,
as she was
yeah,
doing,
for
and then
sure.
I probably could have gotten free kills.
Also feels, if you look at it in terms of distance, you like long range. Yeah, that's what I mean. You have distance from certain
True.
angles, but let's put it this way. Fundamentally, it's more about you holding the good range. Okay, so what do you think in terms of range? How it looks?
Oh, range is bad, and this is actually one of the things I feel like I overthink and don't know what to do in the moment. I I I know that when you're looking for off angles, if the angle that you like most prefer is occupied, try to find a different one, or even if you're doing fine on one angle, try a different one to throw them off.
Yeah.
But on maps like this, there's like nothing on that off angle. Like I can't go
Yeah.
to the right. So I don't know. I didn't know if this was optimal to where I should be trying because it's really close. But
Yeah. It's still okay, yeah. It's just something to keep in mind, right? Because maybe for the future, there are even rotations we can do where you eventually get up on this high ground, which is even more beneficial. Or like maybe try to rotate this way. I don't know. There's some stuff we can do. But it's
oh,
not too
true.
bad, just something to keep in mind, right? Just this mid range, so probably expect those guys to push you a little bit earlier. So be careful. Yeah, you actually been ready to rotate, so this is good. And you look to retake the angle, it seems, differently. Yeah, so you
Mhm.
kind of have the long distance from here going on. This looks fine. Sometimes there are maps like this where it might be difficult for you to do continuous damage from really far, but that's fine.
And
That's okay.
sometimes that feels so like wasteful to my team. Like I'm running around like a maniac and they're in a fight, and I feel like they're
Uh,
gonna get like I'm not doing right. But like, apparently sometimes it's like watching that Defran clip, especially. Sometimes that's what you gotta do.
yeah, if you getting chased by multiple people, you're wasting their resources. So your team can actually do stuff because of it. I think that's fine.
Okay.
Why not? Okay, give the brush up. This is one of the also little exceptions because we talked all the talk been about active state of the fight. Okay, now this is kind of
Mhm.
non-active state before the fight, so whatever you do before, it's okay. So with Helix Rocket, use your healing station. It's gonna be alright most of the time. Okay,
Okay.
we see that. Okay, we should
I
be
gotta be better
alright.
about constantly analyzing the threat.
Yeah,
And
well,
right here, there's like no threat, so it's totally fine to use stuff.
yeah, exactly. So this is good. Now we just keep shooting those guys, maintain this. Okay, they rotate all the way on the top. Okay, okay. This is where there's some questions can be asked. Yeah, just with let's go back in terms of the angles, the quality of that. What do you think? Is it the best quality for us if we been here? We definitely understand the uptime before the fight, but
Mhm.
now, what do you think?
Um, so I knew they were all left. I feel like maybe if I had swung to the right around this orb structure or around the cylinder, I could have had a better angle at them as they pushed in. But
Hmm.
does that make sense? Maybe not. Oh no, no, Ryan's right there. I didn't see him behind there
Also,
on stream.
they're pushing inside a building right now, right? Hmm.
Yeah, true. Maybe rotate back into my inside area and then get height, but they're all going height actually, so maybe not. I don't
Yeah,
know.
but you don't know that. Uh, well, you
Yeah,
cannot.
I
Mhm.
I kind of true. I wouldn't
Mhm.
have known that in the moment. Good point.
Yeah, you might do expect them to do that probably because they play more of brawl comp and they trying to use enclosed spaces more, but you still gotta be mindful. What is the best sideline I can have? Yeah, all of this. What is my long range? Yeah, how do I set up the best way possible off angles so you put the more pressure on the enemy? Yeah, it's just for the active state of the fight. You maintain off
Oh,
angles
okay.
so that, but the active state is about to happen. So maybe
I
this
felt
angle
like where
is.
walking there
Mhm.
was okay-ish, but then like they all dodged where I was basically by going up, and I really couldn't see anything. For some reason, I popped ult when I really shouldn't
Yeah,
have.
yeah.
um,
Because this is where
I
it's
don't know.
awkward, yeah. Because you don't have the good sideline, the best long range sideline, but this still feels decent because of just the fundamentally. Yet this is off angle, right? This is
Mhm.
long range. You have healing stations, so it's actually I think it's fine. Maybe you could be fighting top. This is one of the options. I just want you to think about the options, yeah, because you don't have to solve the game always one way, right? You can be here, you can be here. It could be when they started rotating, maybe start here so you have long sideline and then rotate, yeah. But I
Okay.
just make sure you prepare the best sideline possible, and make sure it's intentional though. Yeah, make sure it's not we letting them pass for free, maybe, and just yeah, prepare for the situation. That's what I want to say. But this is,
Okay.
to be honest, ended up okay-ish, right? Just feels, yeah, it feels okay. Now do the uptime damage before the fight. Okay, they actually go the same way. Let's see how is that gonna work for us. Yeah, the game's just trying to deal with you, but you have the distance. You have the distance
Yeah,
from
I'm trying
England.
to stay away from him.
Yeah. The sun's up alright. You see that? And it's just constant. And you did force out some of the resources too. You did force out his deflag. I'm not sure if you did force out his dash, but you definitely done some decent work there. Okay.
Ooh.
Okay, damage before the fight.
This
Maintain
this
this.
first game, this first round, like we kind of took over, but the third round is especially close, if I remember right. So you told me to try to give you one that was close.
Do
The
you?
second one they won. Oh,
Yeah.
actually, what I would like to, the second round though was I did struggle a lot on that one. They destroyed us at a certain point.
Yeah,
Sorry.
this is where you might get big advantage if you have some sort of brawl character, I think, because there's more enclosed, there are more short range angles. You'll notice that probably the Reaper might be the good choice for that, but there's something you can think about too. It's just
Okay.
if you want to add this character, but it's still possible to play Soldier. Just same fundamentals. It's just gonna be slightly harder to implement on this one, but it's doable.
Gotcha. And I know that we're getting closer to time, so if you want to skip to game 3, no worries. Like, no worries at all.
Yeah, no, I think this is fine. It just exactly wanted to focus on the point where you struggled with the most. Is it this one here or the third one?
um, we lost round 2, so I didn't I didn't know where to stand well in this second round. But you said that this isn't a great level for brawlers anyway, so maybe we should go to game 3 or round 3.
Oh, well, I would.
It's up to
Okay,
you.
let's maybe watch a little bit of this. I'm curious, and then we'll see. Maybe we'll watch
Okay.
the third one too. You're kind of not sure where to stand there. Okay, what do you think? Actually, where should you stay on this map?
I feel like I should have stayed high ground.
Seems high
I was
against
a little
decent.
worried about their Lucio because he kept jumping up there to try to get me, and there he is. um, um,
And how do you deal with the Lucio? What do you need?
stay away from the edge for sure, but
Yeah.
just I was told a while ago on ones like this, like those 2 holes at the top that I can shoot out from, they're very easy. Like, try not to just stay in them and shoot because you're a really easy target in them. I don't know how true that is, but it kind of like was stuck in my head to not do that in this game, so I tried not to stay there too long.
Well, this actually makes total sense. Yeah, you don't want to stand in one position for too long because this way it becomes more, well, predictable. The crosshair is going to be right on you, so you want to definitely change the position. I think that's fine. Let's see how the fight develops, actually. Definitely seems a hard point because of the downtime you have. Sometimes you see those short sidelines, sometimes difficult. Like, this is a good long sideline. If you're also able to keep the fight over here, this is really good as well. At this entire objective, if you're not using the high gun, might seem difficult for the long range characters. Usually not as done. So it's good if you have the uptime before you supply some pressure. Yeah. You see, I think they're getting close, but is it close enough which you kind of stay here? Well, I'm probably... Now, let's see what we do. Okay, we'll go on all the way left side. It might actually work out, too. Because this is off
And this
angle.
was, I think it was more a matter of variation again, just trying to keep them on their toes. But they can hear me stomping around the whole time, so I guess there's only so much of that that works.
I actually like a lot of the stuff, but it just maybe maintain an angle if you want to. If you have the distance, is fine too. But yeah, this is This is definitely a lot of good things. I see that you not in the main lane too. It definitely shows that you did work on that a lot too. This Lucio is jumping on us. See, they make a commitment. Okay, they go for the boop or whatsoever. Probably wait with the healing station just a second, just before they use the boop, so you'll not get booped off completely away from the
Okay.
healing station. But other than that, it's okay. Yeah, just making sure the commitment happens, and then afterwards, I can use the healing station. But now, when you don't have healing station, then what is the right thing to do?
Run away.
Run away to where? What do you think?
Probably their spawn.
Yeah,
Because
just go forward.
nobody's
Yeah.
over there.
Yeah, there's kind of a nana there, but see, the idea stay the same. Tanks, we gotta watch for that. Tank is active or not. We don't have healing stations, so wanna be more careful. And wanna have distance. Yeah, distance from sweats, distance from angles, hold the long sideline. There's no long sideline here because we expect the Lucio, maybe Junkrat as well. So we just create the long sideline this way, I think. You probably
I've
will
got to
have
remember
to...
that you're
Yeah.
not like worthless just because you run away to pull people back. Like I
Yeah.
gotta remember that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So use their spawn. Yeah, play their spawn. Why not?
Okay.
Actually, it can be a good thing to keep in mind because you're already really good in rotating. I see that you're going from one place to another, but maybe you also even using their spawn, like we saw in this example too. I see how they just sitting in the enemy spawn this time, right? It's just so
Yeah, he's
far.
just chilling.
The positioning, this is where all of their team is, and it's so far because the idea is the same. The fundamentals are the same. The distance from angles, I can see whatever the best sideline I can get while having the continuous damage on the enemy. This is what this point is difficult about because you kind of don't have both. I think the long sidelines might be difficult, and the continuous damage part because there's so many corners. They just can
Mm-hmm.
easily hide from you. But it's still, yeah. Even on this map, you still apply that. You play by your own. Think about where you can be because this is long sideline. If I get there, this is good. This is long sideline. Well, this is long sideline as well, unless they get really close under you and then jump. But yeah, keep that in mind. Yeah, let's watch.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, they get close, but not too close. You have the distance. This is good. You take that fight, sure. Okay, now moving in. Okay, distance good. Yeah, maintain this. Visor. Actually, a lot of
Wasn't
the...
a great one, but
Oh, it still looks decent. You don't have to get a
oh,
lot
I
of
died
kills.
here.
Okay, see why though? It's just, well, as I mentioned, it's good to have the reasoning why. In order to position, I think, why you have kind of exceptions. And usually the exception is if you're confident and can get a kill, I think it's fine. But why it's gonna be really hard for you to get a kill on this person?
Um, I mistimed in my head thinking I had Helix up,
Yeah,
and I didn't.
he looks not there. I think you just keep shooting, and you probably can also use the helix after. And you gotta keep in mind that there's Anna as well. So
Oh yeah, that was even more of a dumb idea.
yeah, usually for that exact reason, Helix is really good to just finish the target. If you notice, okay, they start dropping speed, drop, and then you finish big burst. So they're not getting any healing, and it usually ends up so much better. But when you taking this
Good
one-on-one
point.
duel, yeah, it's all right.
It was definitely not the right call.
Yeah, well, the positioning was
Again,
fine though.
that's one of my things I mentioned before. I'll commit to really dumb things and then not commit to things that were really easy sometimes. I think I
Yeah,
overthink it sometimes instead of like instinctively knowing the state of the game. But, well, all the things you were just telling me about active, passive tank, when to go in, when not to go in. I
yep.
overthink it and
No, it's fine. That's why maybe follow this model. I think it should help out a lot to just structure and discipline. Yeah, so you focus on
cool.
one concept at a time and move from one concept to another. Do it this way, and should be alright.
Awesome.
Okay, okay. I think that's for the most part. That's about it. Maybe let's try to summarize what we talked about with you today so far.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you got out of today so far, you think? What do you need to work on based on our
Um,
session?
the three we kind of had our three that we established. It was our angle, um, our distance, and our tank state, basically. Like,
Mhm.
um, those are like the three that I really need to work on. And we could do the whole pick three concepts, rotate between them between games or even rounds. Just focus on that one thing. Go once I reach the end, go back to the first one. Um, think about I need to think about commitments more. Think about my opponent's abilities being commitments, especially movement ones like Genji's dash and e- baiting people into commitments and then using things like my healing or something like that. And I'm trying to think if there was something else. Those seem like the really big ones to me.
Yeah, no, I think this makes total sense, to be honest. You can also keep in mind those exception rules too. Just we can be usually fighting, doing the action. If you confident you can get a kill, sometimes we can kind of cheat our way through, maybe not take the best position, maybe drop from it, or you also realize, well, my tank is not active, but I can get a kill, like in the case of the Junker. That's fine. That's usually going to be one of the biggest exceptions rules, but for the most part, you just follow those. Tank is active, gotta be active as well. Watch, I will call it brawl phase as well. Brawl phase, active state of the fight, where most of the teammates are, well, most teams are exchanging the stuff. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, if you remember that Genji dash example, Genji is one dash away from you. Probably this is gonna be the brawl phase already. So you gotta keep in mind the tank is active. You're gonna be active as well. Healing station for commitment. Hold long distance. Hold long range. Have distance from sweats angles, and it's good. I really like the rotations. I'm gonna be honest. You're not stationary. This is really good. Taking off angles is good as well, based on what I saw at least. Maybe there are also gonna be some
Okay.
examples where you struggle. Maybe some of the maps. But if you struggle with those, you're not sure where you can be. We can also go with those two later on. That's completely fine.
Okay.
But so far, just trying to practice how do we maintain off angles should be okay a little bit more. And later, let's see the progress on autopilot. We can definitely elaborate on positioning, just maintaining angles if we need to. And if it's fine, then we probably will look into awareness a little bit more, because this is what I mentioned, and sometimes you do struggle with that. And I do think it's gonna help out a lot for the future if we can just try to focus on the maybe the enemy team where they are, your team, the cooldowns, ultimates. Just we'll pick something to focus on, and it
Mhm.
should be all right. Okay, so for now,
Awesome. I like this idea of breaking things down to small stuff because
yeah,
that'll help with my brain and overthinking.
yeah, from what, yeah, was how you sound. That there are definitely a lot of students like you as well. They definitely have that problem too. So you're
Cool.
not alone. It's fixable. Just keep in mind that this sort of
Awesome.
this interlead practice at the start. Let me know how is that gonna go. It should be all right. And yeah, we'll see. Just whatever the questions you're gonna have, you can always send those to me. By the way, the notes I'm gonna send you, you
Hmm.
can also edit all of that too. There's a section even at the end where you can leave some of your thoughts, just what you practice, what you've been working on. So it looks like this here. Okay, I'm just gonna scroll. Wait. It's gonna be around this. Yeah. So student notes. You can put it in here. What do you do well? What do you struggle with? What concepts you applied? You can even put the quotes, just whatever you like, the map, the hero. Just usually, I suggest get the games where you try the best to apply the concepts, and we'll
Okay.
be fine. Yeah, from this today, you give me that game. Usually, close game is the best. You don't want to have the complete steamroll and maybe loss, but yeah, you're doing your
Mhm.
best applying the concept. It's kind of close game, usually the best, and we should go from there. We'll see how is that gonna be. Also, well, you already did take advantage of the YouTube. You can watch
Mhm.
that. You can also watch there are two channels, kind of one main where I do put some edited content sometimes, and there's also just coaching full words, but also Twitch and some articles on Reddit. Maybe you can also read on some of that stuff too. Actually, there's one. about how to deal with autopilot if you wanna also refresh,
Oh,
because
nice.
we discussed that with you. It's a lot of what we discussed with you today. We can also take a look at that a little bit more. And if you
Mhm.
scroll in this here, also can find how to deal with anxiety. But I marked that as our potential topic, so we can talk about that more. But just in case, maybe you can also read as well and see maybe 1-2 points you can apply if you have time, of course, and should be all right.
Sounds good.
Okay. Do you have any final questions for today?
Not that I can think of. Any questions I wrote down, we kind of went over the course of it. This was excellent. Thank you so much.
Yeah, okay. I'm glad to be helpful. If there are any questions later, let me know. You can send me timestamps of the questions too, and should be okay. I just want to ask you, are you okay with me potentially uploading maybe the part of the session, the full session to YouTube, or should I keep it private?
No, of course. Any of the ones we do, feel free.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Sounds good. And I will see you the next week. Yeah, that's the one, the time you let me